Hi everyone, this time I'm gonna be taking a look at Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and just sharing a couple of memories that I have from that era, how it was first seeing it in the arcade, and what the overall experience on my side was in terms of MK3 in the arcades. Now, as I mentioned earlier in a couple of my videos like this, the arcades that I used to go to were only functioning throughout the summer, and due to this we were actually somewhat behind in terms of receiving the latest Mortal Kombat. I think when we got Mortal Kombat 3 in the arcades, in other places they were already playing with MK3, so there was like half a year lag behind. Anyway, so MK3 is basically an updated version of Mortal Kombat 3. As far as I know, officially it was released in the same year, and rumor goes that initially Midway wanted to release MK3 prior to that, according to a tight schedule, and they didn't have enough time to fit everything in that they wanted. So supposedly MK3 should be adding a lot of stuff that was left out from MK3 due to time constraints. However, if I look back on the original Mortal Kombat games, I must say that MK3 currently is the least played title by me, and main reason behind that is the AI, or the difficulty in the game, which I'm gonna be talking about in a bit more length later on. But yeah, so like I said, it was around summertime when MK3 arrived, and actually we didn't have it in our own local arcade. It was only available in the next town, which is about a couple of kilometers away from us, so I had to sit on bicycles and go over there. It wasn't that bad, and back then we didn't really have the internet, and we only got our informations from rumors from others who have been at other places or through magazines. So throughout the beginning of the summer we already started to hear some things about a new version of Mortal Kombat 3 that supposedly has Mask Sub-Zero and Scorpion, Kitana, Milena, Reptile, so on and so forth. And well, until I saw some pictures of it in actual magazines, I thought this was just another typical Mortal Kombat type of rumor that fans would circulate around in arcades. Nevertheless, when it turned out to be true, and when we learned that there was a MK3 cabinet available in the next town, we would of course go over there with a couple of my friends and have a look at it, and we were actually very keen on playing it. And by that time I got to be I would say pretty decent Mortal Kombat 3 player, so I got very much accustomed to Mortal Kombat 3. So when we went over, I was really excited about finally having Scorpion as well. I was really missing him from Mortal Kombat 3, along with the new ninjas. And I remember when we got there, the first character I started playing was Scorpion. A guy there just told me a couple of his new combos, basically, and I thought that okay, it's gonna be pretty straightforward and easy. And then I fought the first guy, the second guy, it was okay, up until the third one. Third one started to get, the AI opponent started to get a bit funny sometimes, but I managed to beat that. And by the time I went up to the fourth guy, I was completely shocked how difficult the AI would be, or how different it would react from Mortal Kombat 3, because I was very used to Mortal Kombat 3 and the AI there, and I pretty much know my way around that game. So as it was, I got smashed by the computer when I got to the fourth guy, and I was playing on the first ladder, on the novice ladder. So that was kind of a shocker at first, but in overall, you know, it seemed to be alright to me. I mean, I was still invested in the game. I was still interested. Okay, I thought maybe I, you know, need to learn a bit new tactics with Scorpion, and I'm just gonna go ahead and, you know, pick somebody who I'm really good at in Mortal Kombat 3. So I just picked Cabal, and Cabal was another shocker because he was, you know, tuned down quite a bit. And you know, making his basso move, and you know, some of his combos were not that easy to pull off, and the tactics that I used basically in MK3 were useless. And again, by the time I got up to the fourth guy, I got killed within a minute, and that was it. And then I thought, okay, then, you know, worst case scenario, I'm just gonna pick the noobest character from the roster, which I was thinking would be Cyrex, and I'm just gonna do the, you know, net move, sweep, and then the 30% combo. Well, again, once I got up to the fourth guy, didn't really work out. AI just smashed me, and at that point I just really started to get pissed off at the game. So this was like the first couple of minutes or half an hour that I spent with the game, and I wasn't I mean, I didn't really have, you know, good feelings about the game. In terms of presentation, however, I really like the addition of the new stages that were in style somewhat similar to Mortal Kombat 2's backgrounds, and had some more, I don't know, color to it, or atmosphere. Mortal Kombat 3 background wise was, I think, great, but for me it felt pretty dark, and you know, all the places that are shown in the background are like lifeless, so it had an interesting atmosphere. But in terms of UMK3, I really like the new stages, so especially Jade's Desert. I mean, up until this day, it's one of my favorite stages in Mortal Kombat. I mean, the sand dunes, Cyrex in the background, and that's just a neat addition there, and also the skyline, it was really great. But also Shao Kahn's cave, waterfront, and Scorpion's pit is pretty interesting, and looks nice. The only thing I don't like about the new stages is that not only have to play through them in a row when you start any game, they keep on repeating, and you cannot go back to the old stages. It takes about like I think you have to play through the new stages, I mean the new backgrounds 3 times in a row, until the computer starts to put in the older stages from Mortal Kombat 3 as well. And that does, for me, create sort of like a repetition, and it gets boring, repetitive after a while. I mean, backgrounds for me in Mortal Kombat are a key thing, and you know, just basically, if you play Mortal Kombat UMK3 single player mode, you will just be playing pretty much on these stages, maybe the hidden portal as well sometimes, or subway, or the street level when you get to the endurance mode. But and of course Shao Kahn, you get the pit, and you know, Motaro's area, the balcony, but that's about it. None of the other stages are easily accessible. You can access those through codes if you play versus, but against the computer, I mean, it just didn't really comes up. And for myself, I mean, I'm pretty much playing Mortal Kombat against the computer. I do play against, you know, human opponents as well, but At that time I was more into playing with the computer. I was always fascinated with the story and like the whole atmosphere of the game, so that's what drove me to the single player element. Another shocker to me was that I really like the story element and all those details that were shown in attraction mode in the arcade for Mortal Kombat 3. I was really shocked that they just took out all of that and just put in a blank background, and you just have scrolling text there, no pictures or whatever. I guess they did that to save memory, but it sort of takes away from the experience for me. Same goes for the ending, which was really I think a bad move, but I guess they had to do it in order to conserve memory. Is that they completely got rid of the old or the proper ending pictures, which I think were a key thing for Mortal Kombat fans. And when you finish the game, and although you could select multiple treasures, so to speak, and the first one is always the tournament outcome, still you wouldn't have the ending picture. You just have the bio card of the character displayed again in the blank background that's being shown in attraction mode, and just text scrolling, and that's about it. So it's really kind of sad. So I don't really like that they had to go this way. As for the addition of new characters, actually it's basically two characters with different color meshes. So basically you have the ninjas, which are all basically using the same sprites, and same goes for Milena and Kitana. It's just for the computer when they display it just does color it differently, and then they recorded the separate frames for the unique special moves, but that's about it. So yeah, it kind of felt like hokey to me. I mean, it was not what I expected from a proper update. I thought that it would be like everything would be polished, everything would be there, and on the same level that you would expect from a Mortal Kombat title. One thing I have to stress out is that the player versus player element was greatly expanded with new modes 2-on-2, 4-on-4 I think, and the gameplay balance was much better in terms of playing against a human opponent as well. So that's why they've turned down Kabal, because you could very easily pull off a 66% combo against somebody if you caught him off guard, and I mean it was really some big damage, but so they took that away. So from this perspective balancing was fine. For me the single player mode was just not satisfying, and actually if you look on my videos you can see basically playthroughs of almost all the characters from MK1, MK2, Mortal Kombat 3, and just a couple of guys from UMK3. Now the reason for that is that up to this day I still can't play UMK3 properly. I don't really know all of the tricks. Not as I used to sometimes watch videos how people do, how they trick the computer, but it's just so awkward and so different in a way from Mortal Kombat 3 and 2, so it's not even fun. And up to this day there are only a couple of characters that I can finish the game. And in terms of UMK3, that's Sub-Zero, the original one, I mean the unmasked one, Scorpion, Smoke, Sector, and I think that's pretty much it at this stage. So I've never really got into UMK3 that much, because there wasn't much at the end in terms of playing through the single player mode, and if I ever manage to meet Ed Boon or any of the original staff, I would be really interested on their views in terms of why they changed the AI basically that way. I think it's ridiculously hard, and it's not hard in a good way, it's hard in a bad way. So it's one thing, losing against a good player, a human player, but what the computer does is just kind of like cheap or cheating for me, because the computer can predict all of your moves. So once you do the moves on the keyboard or on the joystick, it already knows and is able to counter it. Of course, there are a couple of things that you can do and exploit the AI, but that's about it. When I was uploading my Scorpion playthrough on UMK3, a couple of people were, bragging about how boring it is because I keep doing the same thing over and over again. But I mean that's what you can do in UMK3 unless you are freaking god in that game. For a casual player or even for a more serious player, UMK3 is going to be pretty hard. So yeah, I mean that's the thing. I don't get why they did it this way. It's not putting in extra challenge, it's just it's annoying. And when Mortal Kombat Trilogy came out later, and I got that for the PC, I started playing it, and after the third guy noticed that, oh my god, the AI is just the same as with UMK3, I never really bothered with it after that, basically, because it just it wasn't any fun. And that's my main issue with UMK3. Playing as the computer is not really big fun unless you are very good at this game and know what you are doing. In terms of AI, if I look back the old Mortal Kombats, I would have to say Mortal Kombat 3 for me is the best one. It's not as cheap as Mortal Kombat 2. In terms of Mortal Kombat 2, you can pretty easily beat the computer once you know the tricks. It's pretty much the same with MK3, but sort of like feels more dynamic, and computer seems to be giving a more decent challenge, but still beatable. In terms of UMK3, that's just completely off the scale, and I don't really play it just due to that. Actually, the only version I would recommend in terms of UMK3 that I would really recommend playing single player mode is the Sega Saturn version, because that has all of the content from the arcade, and I don't know why they did it or how it happened, but the UMK3 for the Sega Saturn has Mortal Kombat 3 AI, so not the new one, which means that the game is pretty good playable and a lot of fun. So yeah, that's I've been going on quite a while in terms of the AI, but that's really what is killing this game for me. In terms of player versus player games, this is definitely the game to play with your friends or online opponents. I mean, since it's got a huge roster and I think up to this day very good balanced gameplay, so on that front it can be a lot of fun. But single player wise, it's just not there, so it's not fun playing through. Maybe if you play it through, you don't get anything in the end. It's just the playing bio picture and lack of stages. So yeah, it's kind of sad. And one thing that bothers me about UMK3 is that it has always been overshadowing Mortal Kombat 3, which I think is a much better experience to play. And even now with the release of the Mortal Kombat Arcade Collection, which unfortunately is a port with numerous errors, they didn't bother to include Mortal Kombat 3, just UMK3. And Mortal Kombat 3 has all of the story elements and all of the atmosphere that this game is lacking, not to mention being able to play properly against an AI that's not completely predicting all of your moves and countering it. So Mortal Kombat 3, due to that, I mean, I'm afraid this is going to be left out for the future as well. I hope that sometime in the future they will be releasing a new arcade collection, which is going to include MK3 as well, and hopefully Mortal Kombat 4 as well. So anyway, just going back to the arcade. So so back then this wasn't just my experience, it was very common theme with the other guys as well. And after a while, I never thought I would be doing this with the Mortal Kombat game, but we just abandoned it and went back to, you know, playing Mortal Kombat 3 and Mortal Kombat 2 instead, because UMK3 just wasn't fun. In terms of content-wise, another thing I have to mention, and that's the fatalities, or the quality of the fatalities. Now, the finishing moves in MK1 and MK2 were awesome, especially MK2, but in MK3 it's just so lazy, so lame. It just wasn't fun or worth, you know, performing the moves, because you get just some pretty weird, shitty animation. Unfortunately, the same continued with UMK3. We were hoping that they would do something about fatalities and, you know, update that, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So fortunately, the same, or they even managed to go below in terms of quality on the fatalities compared to MK3. I remember when we did Sub-Zero's, you know, fatality, we were just laughing out loud, and you know, the ice spike one is a pretty bad one itself, but you know, if you want to do the proper head rip, so to speak, screen just goes blank, dark, and that's it. And how lame is that? Also with regards to Scorpion, that, you know, multiplying himself and, you know, beating the opponent to that. I mean, it's sort of like better than Sub-Zero's, but pretty lame as well. Same goes with Reptiles, you know, fatalities, very lame. The Napalm Blast from Scorpion was one of my favorite fatalities in Mortal Kombat 2, and this one just looks awful. And yeah, it's really shines that they didn't took the effort to make new animation in terms of the fatalities for the older characters, and or it could have been that they ran out of memory and they wanted to focus on player versus player component rather. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. So with that, I think I'm pretty much said everything I wanted to tell in a nutshell about my relation to MK3. I have not given up on it yet. From time to time I'm always going back, but after a couple of minutes I'm always getting my ass kicked, and it's just no fun. I will definitely be trying to, you know, learn some of the strategies that can be applied with some other characters as well against the UI and BA. In terms of the arcades, UMK3 actually performed very well in bigger cities, here in Hungary as well. I mean, you know, not lots of people were playing it, and if I go into an arcade nowadays, I mean, you barely see any Mortal Kombat machines at all. Those are all being on sale since a couple of years, but say 4 or 5 years ago, when there were still in a few places Mortal Kombat machines around, you would most of the time see UMK3. And even if you go on eBay, I mean, I think that's the UMK3 is the most easily to find and affordable PCB or JAMA board out there. So there's just a huge amount of it. So I think commercially it did great, and of course afterwards it got ported to home systems, but MK3 was only released to SNES and Sega Genesis and Sega Saturn, I believe. That there were no other ports being made, and apart from Sega Saturn version, all of them were pretty hard to beat due to the AI, not really worth the money. PC version wasn't released, and neither a PlayStation version. I don't know whether there were any exclusive rights, and that was the issue, or it was just, you know, Mortal Kombat trilogy being on the corner, which essentially includes MK3, if you will. So that's about it. Well, hope you like this video, and see you guys next time for more MK related stuff.